So glad you could be with us as we look at God's Word. And we're talking about love, and it's really a great thing to know the list that's here in 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 and 5. And it actually even goes into chapter 6, verse 6. But to examine yourself against that, you cannot say that you're full of the Spirit of God if you don't have love. That's number one on the fruit list. And you can't say that you love if you don't meet this definition. And so the reason that definition is there is like it says in God's Word in 2 Timothy chapter 3. God's Word is not only good for doctrine, it's good for reproof. This is wrong with you. You don't have love because you don't fit the definition. And so I examine myself against this lots of times, and I confess things to God and ask Him to take over again. It's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to know this. So we went with yesterday, love is patient and kind and not jealous. And now it says love doesn't brag. It's not arrogant. And it doesn't act unbecomingly. Other translations say it's not rude. I've had people tell me things that they thought were really clever, and I thought, you know what? You don't really love me. You're not saying that to edify me, to make me more like Jesus. You're just popping off. But anyway, okay. So love doesn't brag. Matthew 6, verse 1, beware of practicing your righteousness before men to be noticed by them. Yeah. I kind of get a kick out of people that'll give something to the church and then they want a plaque or they want a building named after them or something like that. That's bragging. That's bragging. And sometimes there's backdoor bragging, where you talk about how you're really not good at something in the hopes that somebody will tell you that you really are. The Lord reads the heart, and He knows that you're bragging through the back door. It's trying to accomplish the same thing. But also it says it's not arrogant. Sometimes there are people that don't brag, but they're just kind of quietly superior to everybody else. Proverbs chapter 6, starting with verse 16, it says, 6 things the Lord hates, yea, 7 are an abomination to Him. And then He lists the 7. And guess what number 1 is? Haughty eyes, or the proud heart is what it says in King James. Yeah. I'm better than everybody else. I'm not bragging or anything like that, but I just happen to know that I'm superior. The Lord hates that. Not that it just bothers Him. He hates it. He hates haughty eyes. And then, of course, the rudeness thing. It doesn't act unbecomingly. Back to the Corinthians in worship time. Do you think there might have been people that would call attention to themselves in a worship service? I've seen it before. Like one guy from a particular church said that it was a church where people raised their hands a lot. And by the way, I think that's a great way to worship God. I don't think any problem with that. But he said, lots of times it was always the hand that had the jewelry on it, calling attention to themselves, wanting to be the center of attention. You can do that and God sees through it. Well, anyway. So if I love you, I don't brag about myself. If I love you, I don't quietly think I'm better than you are. And if I love you, I'm not going to be trying to be the center of attention. A good way to look at it is when somebody comes in the door, or, when you come in the door, do you say, oh, here I am? Or when somebody else comes in the door, do you say, oh, there you are? That other person's the center of attention. That's really the attitude we ought to have. Philippians chapter 2 says, let each one of us esteem others better than himself. That's love. Have a great day.